You know, I'd like to play that Daniel Johnston song that I played that night.
Yeah, that would be great.
Would that be all right with
I,
you?
I think I even have the bill from that show in my guitar case.
Yeah, I
We'll
I
look
had
for
that guy
later.
sign it, the
The
director.
director guy, yeah.
Yeah, he gave me one of those
I
CDs.
seen his picture in the paper. He's in the local band. I think he's in the. Can you say Poontang Wranglers? I don't know. I guess it
It's
did.
a hell of a name.
I did say.
Too late now.
All right.
Yeah, so I begged my way into this show. Like Uni was throwing it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh God, you gotta let me play, you gotta let me play. And then I screwed up the song. You know, it's terrible. You know, so it was like got all this work and begged my way in, and then I messed up the lyrics. So I'd like to make up for that
Yeah.
tonight.
Let's do it right
Play
for
it.
them people in Radio Land.
Radioland. My new imaginary friends. Don't play cards with Satan. He'll deal you an awful hand. Don't play cards with Satan. He'll deal you an awful hand. Did I ever stop to tell you I am a desperate man? Thought it was a bluebird sitting up on the post. Thought it was a bluebird sitting up on the post. Shivers down my spine. It was the Holy Ghost. Don't play cards with Satan. He'll deal you an awful hand. Don't play cards with Satan. He'll deal you an awful hand. Did I ever stop to tell you I am a desperate man? Thought I saw the devil sitting out in the woods. Thought I saw the devil sitting out in the woods. Don't you know I'd take it back if I could? Don't play cards with Satan. He'll deal you an awful hand. Don't play cards with Satan. He'll deal you an awful hand. Did I ever stop to tell you I am a desperate man?
There, you're rectified.
So that song has kind of a special meaning, because when I was 13, last day of school, me and my friends went and burned down this 108-year-old church.
Ooh.
for Satan. And then we're off. We were burning down buildings all night, and it was a lot of fun. Especially the church, because it was a state monument. And, there's just nothing more punk rock than burn down a church. I'm sorry. And I don't know anyone else that's ever burned down a church, so I'm especially proud of that, achievement. And, we were standing there looking at the flames burn, and I'm like, all right, Satan, I did this for you. What do you do it for me? And then later we got in a big car wreck.
There you go.
Wasted this brand new truck, it's like turned the truck into an accordion. Like we're flying over this road and I'm like, hey man, you better slow down. He's like, oh, I know these roads. And we pop over this hill and the road turns to a T. Yeah, I'm like, oh, you idiot. And then, bam, dead stop. Accordion, the front of the truck, the engine was in the cab. And then we had to walk a mile back. And we only had the friend that was sitting in the middle of the truck. We were on our way to burn down this other guy's house. He was a rich guy that nobody really liked, so we thought we'd just burn his house down for him. Teach him a lesson. But didn't make it. And then we only had one. The guy sitting in the middle got injured in the wreck, so we had to go take him to the hospital. But the car had limited gas in it, so we had to go right by this barn that we burned down earlier. And it was so much like The Outsiders, like that scene where Pony Boy and his buddy are like running out of the church, and like it's collapsing on them, It's like we were inside the barn lighting it, and by the time we got outside, we got our fires lit, and as soon as we walked out, the barn just started collapsing. And it's like, oh man, that was close. And I'm like running away from it, and there's a bed spring, and my foot's caught in the bed spring, and I'm like, ah, and it's collapsing like 5 feet behind me. It's a mess. But so we had to drive this car and take our friend to the hospital, and we had to drive right by the barn that we just burned down a couple hours earlier, and the fire department was there and the police department. So we got caught, and I had 3,000 hours of community service, which was actually really good for me because they stuck me in an old folks home, like sweeping floors and stuff, and I got to know all these like 100-year-old people. It's really interesting. Like Mary, all she could do was whistle. She couldn't talk, but you could communicate with her by whistling with her. It was fun. And this old guy that used to sit in the front, and he just chain smoke all day long, waiting for his son to come pick him up. And then after a while, after talking to him for weeks and weeks, I'm like, well, how long has it been since your son was here to see you? And he's like, well, it's been about 20 years.
Every day he'd wait out
Every
there.
day he'd be sitting there in the front, chain smoking, just waiting for his son to come. And he's like, well, yeah, he brought me up here from Texas about 20 years ago. I'm like, oh, I don't know if he's coming. If I kept that to myself.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting stuff like that. It really teaches you about the brain, about humanity, and all that stuff. So it was an interesting lesson.
Gave you perspective on people.
Yeah, it really did. About how cruel people are. Watch out for them. Because they'd actually reprimand me for hanging out with them and talking to them.
Are you just supposed to be cleaning?
I'm supposed to be sweeping the floor. You ain't here to talk. You're here to socialize. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Well, you are, and you're not.
You're not.
All you're doing is changing his diapers and sticking him in the corner. When he obviously wants to talk to somebody. Otherwise, he wouldn't talk to me.
That was your true community service.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. That was a good time. I had fun. I used to. Well, then I had to quit though because I went in the back, and they always just had me doing busy work. Nothing really that needed to be done. Just hey, do this because we said so. It makes us feel powerful. Push you dumb kids around. And they had me picking up cigarette butts in the backyard, and I was picking them up, and I wasn't really looking at what I was doing. I was just picking them up, throwing them in the can, And then I looked, and there was a dead mouse, like a rotting carcass of a dead mouse that was obviously there for weeks. And I'm like, oh man. And then I start looking around, and I'm just standing in this like field of dead mice. Just like, there's like 100 of them all around my feet. And I'm like, doing the dead mouse dance,
Whoa.
Yeah. And I was like, I ain't working here no more. That's too heartbreaking. I might want to get those tissues out again.
Yeah. Where's my handkerchief? I'm old school. I got the handkerchief.
Yeah.
I don't throw them tissue things away.
That's good.
Yeah.
Recycle those tears.
Yeah. Recycle. I can squeeze them out later if I need them.